right, guys. So here we are to talk about the Netflix original movie, Death Note.
Death Note.
So Death Note, obviously a long-running series in the manga and cartoon anime. There was a live action we saw like 10 years ago that's dubbed because it's Japanese, and here
dubbed
we
or
have
subbed?
it was
Have they dubbed it?
Well, I think it was dubbed and subbed, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Well, actually, we're getting behind.
Well, I think that it's important to lay out the history
of
this.
It was probably subbed, but it might have a dub. Can't recall. But this is the first American.
Yeah. I was gonna say, but we should say, right? It should be known. Like, I've watched some anime. Probably more than you.
100%, yes.
Who's watched more than Zero, which is more than average. So I feel like we're already ahead of the fucking game. I've never read the manga, but the anime series is one of like the top, like it's in the top like 5, top 3 or something, depending on who you are or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's in my definitely in my top like 5 or whatever. And I've seen the usual shitty otaku bullshit like Cowboy Bebop and Fullmetal Alchemist and fucking Evangelion, all like the normal, all like all the hits or whatever the fuck. And this is like this one's really good. It has problems that we'll cover later or something like that. But then randomly one day you were like, hey, there's this Death Note live action fucking thing playing. Do you want to go see it? You've talked about this anime and you had never seen the anime. So I like went with you. We saw it in some little theater somewhere up by us in Jersey, and it was
Lowell's AMC, a huge theater actually.
It was part 2 of the like 2-part 2-hour long thing, right? And I actually thought that it was really good at adaptation.
I enjoyed it a lot.
I was getting ready to be like, oh, this was nothing, but it was kind of made for like the Asian market and stuff, and I think they took it really seriously and tried to be really faithful to it, and they made some good choices that I was like, okay, this is cool.
The guy who played L, I liked better in the live action than I liked in the anime.
I know, but you haven't really. You have to sit down with that anime for like 9 hours straight and just watch the whole thing in a dark room.
So how many seasons of Death Note are there?
Do you want to get into that?
There's a lot of Death Note.
There are 3 seasons.
3 seasons.
There's not that much Death Note in the grand scheme of things.
I've probably seen like 4 hours of Death Note.
You need to watch it in order, and honestly, and we'll get to this later, this is the kind of thing that's heavily based on like not knowing the thing yet. So I think like, and this is, this kind of shows me now what it's like for those people who like read the book or whatever the fuck. Because now it's like, oh, well, yeah, but now you know what's going to happen, but you know it in this like shitty way. So when you watch the real one or whatever, it's not going to have the same impact like the first time. It's like when like your parents play you like the original song and you only know the cover by like a punk band, and you're like, this is shit or something like that. It's like that aspect. I don't know.
Yeah, well, because there's a lot of cool things where, like, oh, because he wrote this thing, and that, and then, now it's just like a speed run of horrible shit.
Well, so, like, in the anime, it would be like, and, like, they have more time because it's more hours, right? So they can go more deep into stuff. But they, there's certain stuff where you're like, holy shit, I didn't even think, it could do that. Whereas now from watching either of these live action ones is kind of spoiled that that's a possibility or whatever, right?
My biggest pet peeve is in this. So I'm assuming you've already seen the movie if you're watching this, or you're curious about it and know enough about Death Note. So L is a man who's like, he doesn't know his name, so he can't kill him.
Yeah.
Who is actively seeking to take down Light, the main character here, and he like takes one of his like compatriots. He says like, you will die in like 7 days or whatever, and like you will use every moment until then to find out what his name is.
Yeah.
This is the guy that was, like, in the hotel room right next door to him this whole time.
Something
he could have wrote, like, you get him to this room and just shoot him. Like I don't think you could write, you kill this guy, but you could be like, you bring him here, then give me, like, leave your gun in the cabinet, bring him here, sit him down, show him this evidence, and I will shoot him in the back of the head, and then you kill yourself. Like, you could have done any of that. You could have been like, hey, these 10 FBI guys I make jump off a fucking cliff, all of you work together to put L in this car and then drive off a cliff. Like,
sure.
It just annoys me that I'm like, there seem to be always things where I'm like, why didn't you just do this?
No, I know. And, like, a lot of these, like, when you compress the sort of thing. So, like, my main problem that I'm sort of dancing around that we're going to touch on, I think, 10 times or whatever. I don't know if you hadn't been exposed to Death Note at all before, how this live-action thing would have come off to you or something like that.
It's so compressed. I think I would have felt that regardless of knowing anything. So I'm like, they go from 0 to godhood in, like, 4 minutes.
All right. Well, so two 2 seconds, and then we'll get into like all of that.
Sure.
Later. But when you compress this stuff down, it's very easy and obvious to be like, well, fuck, why don't you just do this or whatever the fuck? Like the anime takes its time to really show that it's a game of cat and also cat between light and L and all this. A lot of time is spent laying this out. And like the whole thing is structured differently and plays out differently, where there's a long time because like his dad's on the task force that's trying to catch him, so there's a lot of shit back and forth. And like in the anime, there's multiple like little mini arcs where he's like suspected, but then I guess it's not him for some reason. And he's suspected.
Then
again.
he's like on the team or something.
Yeah, there's the fucking gigantic thing going on. There's a lot of stuff where like, and like they touch on it here, where it's like, well, I can't kill him. He's my dad. Or I can't kill him. It'll be obvious. Or I don't want to kill him. I want him to know that I'm so smart. Like there's this whole
I hate
thing
so
going
much
on, you know.
Just like how it played out and how quick it was and how like
In the live action.
yeah,
thing.
it just didn't.
So let's.
It didn't have any of the joy for me
Ooh.
that like there should have been. And knowing, because my girlfriend watched this and she asked me, "Did you watch that?" I'm like, "I did watch that." So
Yeah.
she goes, "How do you feel about this being like the setup of an origin story series?" And I'm like, "This was like what
For who? For who? For
So what?" What she read somewhere
did we
was
do show prep by accident? Okay.
she read somewhere that this movie was like the origin, and there's going to be many more Death Note movies. At least if this one does remotely well, which I can't imagine it did, because it's just not good.
So I accidentally did some show prep because I follow Adam Wingard on Twitter.
Okay.
Because I think he's friends with Max Landis or something. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
That's a deep dive.
I follow Max Landis. He's great. So I've seen some tweets and there was some shit. Yeah, because I think they both talked about it like together. I follow him on Twitter and people were like, I wish I had the Death Note so I could write your name in it for ruining Death Note so much. And he was like, calm down, son. And there was this like there have been a lot of people like defending it and arguing about it back and forth. And he like gets involved because that's how young filmmakers, relatively young filmmakers do it these days. So there's been a lot of like shit percolating through. I don't have a good sense because like I said, like my Twitter is all video game people and like nerds and like weird young internet fucking type people, and various people were like, I'm about to watch Death Note, and then all the responses are like, don't bother, save yourself, fuck it, no, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So I went into it with really low expectations. And I gotta say, like,
well, we reviewed the trailer, and we reviewed the trailer poorly, so I can't imagine you could have gone into this with high expectations.
Yeah, I went in with really low expectations, and this has happened to me a bunch of times. And what has happened to you? So about 10 minutes in, I'm like, holy shit, do I like this? Maybe I'm gonna be the guy who's like, I like this. Oh fuck, or whatever. And this happened with like Spider-Man, with like Andrew Garfield or whatever the fuck, where I was like, fuck, this might be good. What am I gonna do? And then luckily, always, whenever I have that feeling, I just start to relax because I know that feeling inevitably leads to me 40 minutes later saying, oh, thank God, okay, it's horrible, good, I can be cool with everybody else. I can say it's horrible. Oh, I was so worried that I was going to have to, like, defend all these controversial, like statements or whatever. I'm just like, okay, never mind. Oh, ooh.
What is the demon called? An Imigami or something? Or
Shinigami, but not in this because he's not a Japanese death god.
Yeah.
Because they just make up
He's just
the
a
thing.
death god now.
But
they show that like scroll where it's looking at like ancient like Japanese like doodles or whatever, and that was him.
And he looks like Ryuk on the show and in the manga there, but not. Where do you want to start? Where are we starting with this?
We've already started.
What were you just about to say? I mean, like with breaking down the actual thing now.
Well, now I forget what I was going to say.
I'm so sorry.
But my thing was like, so like they don't address, there being more than one of them.
Nope.
They don't address what's the one called where you can get the eye and you can like
the Shinigami eyes or whatever.
Shinigami eyes.
Like,
that doesn't come in.
That I would have cut if I was making like an adaptation. That's fine.
No, and I'm just saying things that like I noticed. My favorite scene is when has a teared off little bit of, and not in the movie, in the other things. There's a teared off bit of the book, and it's inside a chip bag, and he's writing names while being filmed, so he knows he's being watched.
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
So,
and that wasn't in there.
That's like a famous meme of like I take a chip or whatever, I kill people thing, where it's like a over the top like because that like really dramatic music plays during that. I don't really agree with that being shitty, but it's a funny little meme.
I like that because I was like, oh, you're being watched. How are you gonna do it? You did it.
Okay, so like that's what the show and again like the movie doesn't have to be like the show for it to be good. I feel like that goes without saying. I had a small speech prepared, but I feel like it's best if I just talk from the heart
Go
and
ahead.
just skip the whole speech or whatever. No, because like it's so easy, right? So like we watch Game of Thrones, we watch Walking Dead. There's always someone there, like, well, in the real original, it was so much better because we had all these characters and you fucking ruined it. And we're always like, shut up, fuck off, whatever the fuck. So now, like I was saying before, I kind of empathize with those people more. But it doesn't have to be exactly the same thing as the original or whatever, which is not even the original because there was a manga, right? So like, it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
like the anime for it to be good. But the anime is like a thriller. It's like a mystery cat and mouse fucking awesome thing where you keep being like, wait, what is he gonna do now? And like you don't know the plan, and it's like Doctor Who like almost with like the writing and like the whole thing about there being multiple Shinigami and multiple Kiras and multiple Death Notes, and like you lose your memory when you like relinquish the book. So like
Yeah.
there's a whole arc where like Light doesn't even know he's Kira anymore, and he's trying to catch Kira, but he like planted a tiny scrap of the book because then if he touched it again, he would get the memories back. And this whole fucking like once that played out, which I've semi-spoiled but not really, so watch the fucking anime. Once you get to that episode, that's when I was like, okay, I'm in. This is the greatest thing ever. Fuck, I'm gonna stop fucking being on the computer and just fucking watch all this because it's like mind-blowingly awesome. It reminded me of like John Dies at the
Sure.
end type shit where there's like layers of fucking things.
Can I don't remember this, but can anybody write in the book at any time? In the old thing, it was like no, right?
I don't know.
Because in this,
that come up.
everyone writes in the book all the time. People are like their names are written in it, and then told to get the book to write more names in the book. And I'm
Okay,
like, this
so-
all seems like
So there's some dangerous territory here where
if you can
like,
make somebody write a name in the book, that means you can make people commit murder. And you could have just said, "Hey, everybody surrounding Light, kill Light." I mean, not Light, fucking L.
or whatever. Yeah.
Like so, like that's a huge flaw.
So that's the whole. So like.
You'd think there'd be a click moment in your head where, like, while you're writing it, I can do that. Oh, why don't I just? All right, you have a gun, just kill him. And
Right.
I don't like that L was covering his face in the beginning, and I
Yeah.
don't remember that being a thing either. We had to know their face and write their name.
Okay,
I
so
thought I thought you just had to picture their face and write the name.
that's what we started saying before. Is like we're in some dangerous territory here, where like I'm presenting myself as like the expert on the anime, where I watched it like it's like 10 years ago maybe now or whatever. So like there's some things that are a little shaky, but there were some things like you're talking about in this where I was like, was that the original? Can you? Because when she says, agent like Brian Reynolds or whatever.
Write all the names of the people on your team on this paper.
and think of their faces while you do it or whatever the fuck. You're like, wait, so you can nest? That's like a Purple Man in like Jessica Jones, where I can like nest the commands within other commands and have you wait. Does that fucking make sense? I don't know
No,
about that.
it struck me as like, if you can do that, why are you even in a cat and mouse game? The game is
Yeah.
over. You could just have like anybody ever find this man. The man I'm thinking of, kill him. Like
Right, and I feel like people definitely obviously kill themselves, but yeah, I don't know. So like, and they hint at it here too without really. So like, there's a whole part of Death Note where it's like Light is like studying the like rules
Yeah.
and learning them and then using them to prove that he's so smart that he like deserves to be like the god of the world or whatever the fuck. And here, like the main character literally says like so many fucking rules. At one point, I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
fucking
well, that's because he's like a lazy white guy now.
Well, we don't want to get racist or whatever. No, but he is.
It's just science. White
he-
people suck. We're
well,
lazy. We
and
don't read the rules.
We're
and
the
we lose
perfect
our
serial
books.
killers, though. No, but had this whole thing start. No, so like some of the ways the book is used here, I don't know. Maybe that is technically what's possible in like the like original story, but the way that it plays out here, you are left very much like, well, wait then, but couldn't you just because there had to be something where you couldn't just tell person A to kill this person and then kill yourself, and that counts, right? Because there's something about the book can't cause a death that's not. Because then you could just be like,
Yeah.
I go set up. Well, no, he has someone set off a bomb and that kills other people. I don't know. Something's missing, right? Something's a little off. But
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
you do have to know their face and their fucking name or whatever the fucking like, and like it has to be their. And this is a criticism that applies to like the original too. But like you have to know their name. But what if their name is like Richard, but you know them as Richie or something?
Or Dick.
Right, so like, I just didn't want to say Dick. Does that work? But that, you can get really logical and deep into like criticizing like the whole concept of it, like to begin with.
Sure.
But I feel like the anime and that live action movie structure it in a way
They
where
did it right. I
kind
didn't
of,
question anything.
you didn't feel that.
I've questioned a lot during this.
And here you feel that
none
way?
the least of which like is that like Elle comes into it knowing far too much.
Yes.
Like shockingly too much. Didn't show him strategizing and figuring things out. Like you could have the whole thing with the guy from Seattle. Even that is like, all right, so you scoured the computers of every law enforcement agency across the world, dating back how long, looking for any suspicious death. Does that not seem weird?
And I thought in the original, maybe I'm making this up, because it like caught my ear when they said it. Because here it's that the hostage situation only made the local news, and that's how they know. I thought in the anime at the very least, and I didn't see part 1 of the live action, I thought it was a trap from L, where he only showed something to one district or whatever, right?
That is what
Does
happened,
that ring a bell? Okay. Because that's much better, right? Where now it's just him noticing that the person, whatever, right? But there, because that was a crazy, like, the fucking music starts playing, and, like, I don't know, the expectations get so dashed so, like, quickly with, like, the original.
Sure.
Where you just think, okay, he's got the book, he's going to do this, that guy's trying to stop him, I get it. And then immediately it's that the rug gets pulled out. You're like, oh, wait, he already knows that? How's he going to do And then you're like,
because he came in covering his face.
There's 8 hours left. Yeah, there was no reason for him to cover his face.
And it made him look dumb, and it took me out of the scene. I didn't
wrote-
like that.
I wrote, so when he's at the crime scene in like the very beginning, by the way, cameo by Hero from Heroes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, I thought I misidentified him, but then he's gone. So I'm like, fuck, where'd he go? Him covering his face at the crime scene was fine, right? Right.
I guess, but why even do that?
I
If
don't
your
know.
name has been sealed since birth,
Sure.
why
well-
are you even suspecting that that's a thing, though?
Why do you even
Like,
know that the name's important?
Yeah, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, I understand not keeping your identity for some reason, but
Yeah.
even that, it would be like, all right, you've been concealing your identity since birth, just in case one day someone needs to know your name.
Well, okay, so he's hiding his like identity or whatever just because he's like this crazy world's greatest detective. I actually was gonna say I feel like they missed something where like they should have showed him like wrapping up his last case just to like prove that like he is
You come in and know
something
he's
or whatever.
good, yeah.
Just because here it was just like, who's this other kid and why is he working with the cops or whatever the fuck. There's very
Yeah.
light on there. That's the kind of thing where I mean, like, if you were unaware of Death Note completely, which neither of us are, so we can't like tell.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be like, wait, why is this? But in the anime, there's a whole thing where like you only hear his voice for like multiple episodes. I feel like where he's like just doing commands, and then you finally meet him, and there's a whole fucking they play tennis. Oh, it's so good. I have to rewatch Death Note.
My worst error, I think, for this was, and it's like a stupid one, but because it's dumb is
I
why
can't
it
wait.
stands out. They go to that house in the woods in like what is that, New York or whatever the hell that house was.
Wataru goes there to get the thing.
Yeah, he went.
Oh, yeah.
He goes to get the records,
All right.
and so like they're in this place. It's old as fuck. Like water's leaking in parts. There's rats. Like it's old as fuck. But like when he first walks in, there's a bowl of jelly beans on the ground that somehow is still there.
Is there?
Super colorful, brand new looking jelly beans in a flipped over jar that's open. And I was like, how would that have survived like 50 years or
Oh,
whatever?
I
And
didn't
on
know
top of that, I always, whenever I see houses like this, I go, why is it like this? Why are they not using it anymore? Our main character, L, who was in this place, could only have been there at max like 20 years ago because he's like
He's very young.
26 or something, and they
he-
adopted him at 6.
He like enrolled at 6, and then presumably
The school
spent
didn't
some
stop the
time
day
and
he
then
left.
It must have.
So that's what I'm saying, because like everything was on paper and weird things, and I'm like, how did he like that dude even know how to open the thing? Like he knew exactly where it was. Didn't know where the school was, but then once he found it, knew exactly where the safe
how to get
room
to the
was and
vault
how to
or
open
whatever.
the vault. It just like
Okay.
But the jelly beans, man, the jelly beans.
I didn't even notice those jelly beans. That's
I'll
crazy.
always notice the jelly beans.
I like that. No, that's cool.
Pissed me off.
Yeah, and that would imply okay, so like the candy thing is not played up as much, even like the live action.
Oh, and God,
adaptation,
the way that prick, in like the cartoon,
where he
and
just
in the movie-
splashes
Yeah,
into the
I'm like,
bowl. I know.
why?
I know.
Animal.
That
And I
bothered
saw
me a
that
lot.
twice because I fell asleep the first time I watched it. So I picked it up again, and my girlfriend watched it for the second time while I watched it like
Okay.
halfway through again. And so I knew it was about to happen, and I go, watch this. The way this animal eats his fucking M&Ms. And he's just like,
Did it bother her too? It bothered me a lot.
It's disgusting. But they didn't play up his sugar addiction as much as they should have. He should have constantly been popping food in and stuff.
He came off like he was, and like, okay, so let me just, cause
Him sitting on the chair in the Elway looked stupid. But in like
In
the
the one scene,
cartoon
it was
and in
okay.
the other live action, I was like, yeah, that's great. That's how he sits.
I liked when he comes to meet Light in like the diner.
Okay.
And then it cuts to like the wide shot, and he's sitting like that. It added to like the absurdity of it for me. But other than that, his
The one
weird
scene where he gets into
illness
the
is
position where
weird.
he jumps into the seat, he
Yeah.
jumps like clumsily.
There was
like it wasn't
weird-
like a cat, like
he
how
was-
Elle should
he
jump.
was
in
like
my
a
opinion.
weird ninja. He was like a weird for a lot of stuff. The way he was moving and his like stance and doing
He
stuff.
seemed like a miscast to me. I don't know.
Okay.
He reminded me too much of the guy from in Walking Dead that gets like bit in the house. What is his name? He was on Everyone
Oh.
Hates Chris. That guy.
Okay. Yeah.
He
yeah.
he reminded me of that guy in like how he like moves himself, and I was like, you're moving like a nerd when I feel like you should be moving like you know,
Well, and I
like
don't,
with a certain
yeah.
like each movement I feel should be very precise and specific
Yeah,
and doing
yeah.
things, and he came off as like clumsy to me.
Excellent. Perfect. I'm glad you got to that point in it because I didn't know how to say it. Because yes, grabbing like he should like take every candy very precisely, fold the wrapper in like a certain way, and be
Yeah.
like OCD.
Like,
kind
I
of,
pictured,
like
like, he'd
doing
be like-
stuff right.
Like these
Yeah.
quick
Very much like that. Yes.
like things like that. Never like
Because I don't know because you haven't seen
that's
it
like a toddler.
you haven't seen all of it like in order or like whatever I think right with like
No.
the anime. But there's a part where Elle and Light are like handcuffed together.
Mhm.
That's kind of absurd. But there's a part where some shit happens and you actually see that Elle can like physically like handle himself. He's like agile and can like do things.
Yeah,
or whatever
I
the
take
fuck.
him to be like a cat person.
I think cat person's a great way to like sum it up. But here, while we're talking about Elle. I thought it was really awesome that they just had like a black kid be Elle, because who cares what race anyone
Yeah,
is.
it doesn't matter at all.
But yeah, I really didn't like him either because I thought his acting was bad. So it would have been better if Elle was very cold and calculated, right?
That's what he's supposed to be.
But like he calls up the like.
He seems so emotional.
He calls up Cop Dad and he said, "Hey, I just want to make sure you weren't dead." Okay, whatever. And then later he's all like, "Hey, nice to meet you." Leave and does all these things where he's like this autistic, awesome detective who was raised to like detect and can't talk and be normal.
But then,
and
yeah.
just eats candy. That would have been great, but they kind of blew it because so like I would have been okay if he was like that. Maybe give me like a little more history, but he's just like that. And then Watsuri gets Kira, and then he like comes off the rails. But he didn't do that. When the FBI guy had his heart attack, he's he like frantically grabs the phone. He says we have to contact them now. He dials. He says Agent whatever, you've been compromised. Get to a hospital. Agent whatever, and like starts to freak out,
Yeah.
and then like puts the phone down all like weird. He's shaky and he's very like emotional from there, which I thought like no.
Why did that guy have a heart attack anyway?
Because they wrote the name of the book.
But everyone else, all the other agents, jumped off a
Okay.
building. Why did he have
So,
a heart attack? Why did that guy get special treatment?
In the original anime, the like default death I think was a heart attack,
Okay.
unless you specified it. They didn't say that here, and they show her specifying something other than a heart attack. I think it's just like a miss, where she said like everyone on the task force goes to meet up and then jumps off the building, right? But they didn't actually do that because like the head of the whatever FBI just dies in this other way.
Yeah.
I think because we needed the shot of the stairwell or whatever the fuck.
No,
I don't know.
it struck me as super odd because I'm like, wait a minute, why did that happen? And then, if everyone
Well-
died in a different way, I would have been like, okay, they wrote different things.
Yeah.
But that was like, it was a weird shot because
So-
it was just to give him that reaction, it seemed.
It was just to cause that like chain of like events. They kind of like thought of a thing and worked backwards to get to it. But when you're dealing with a subject like the Death Note, the Notebook of Death that has all these fucking rules and it's all complicated, you can't just do that. You have because people are going to be like, well, wait, then how did that happen or something like that. And if you lay it out very like concretely, even though it's ridiculous,
Yeah.
then when something happens, you go, oh shit, and it like makes you feel all awesome inside instead of all like, wait, what? which is the feeling that you get when that happens.
Do you like how Light was able to write in objects doing things?
Ooh, tell me about this.
So at the end, he writes like, and the paper falls
the
into
paper
the
falls into
fire.
things, I know.
And it's like, well, how the hell did you do that? That was wind related. Like,
I know. So when that paper fell into that fire, I literally had all those like emotions. I was like, what? How the fuck did that? Oh, but did he? Wait! I had this whole like fucking thing happen where it makes no sense and it bothered me very much. Even just having a trash fire can there was crazy.
Yeah.
How would he know that or whatever the fuck? Ah,
Why would that be in
So
the
upset.
fair? Like,
what?
why? It's a fair.
Yeah.
Of like, it's not like you're in like a back alley where homeless people like huddle up for warmth.
Right.
You're on a pier.
Well, it's Seattle, dude. All the piers have trash fire things or whatever
That's
the fuck.
so not true.
It's so not true.
It rains so much you would need an awning.
You would need something to cover that. No, I know that whole. So we can just skip to that, right? We could just say
Sure.
like like the part that should make you say, "Oh, this is so cool," right? Because you can write these elaborate things, these weird like you can set up this whole thing to happen, and then when things go down, right? Because he's in the coma, and then you do like the whole misdirect. Because that's the whole plot in like the anime where like people keep dying, but lights compromised or like being watched. So how's that happening? Oh, all this different stuff. But it's like lighter because you have less time for detail. But also then you start to wonder like, wait, so how did he just planned all like at the prom he just ran out and then thought of it like then? Because the whole point should be that he's never trusted anyone. And he's always had
It
a
should be
master
super
plan.
calculated.
And not that he's always the man, because you can make your character this like dumb kid in Seattle and like whatever. But the point is that like he starts to obsess over the note and starts to be like, wait a minute, what if I could do this? What if I could do that? And then has this whole thing like planned, and it's this whole fucking thing where he never really trusted her, and all this other stuff happened or whatever.
Yeah, it just struck me as like super odd. Her character on the whole was really odd.
Let's talk about
Because
her.
you go from not knowing someone at all to being like blindly devoted to them, and just the idea that he shared his secret
Immediately
in the first encounter,
before he knew
her last name.
He didn't even know like what he had yet. He didn't even know
No.
about the like he hadn't finished reading and never, I guess, read all like the rules and the whole like instructional part of like the book to even know what he was even getting her into. Maybe like and after this long, everyone who knows about this dies is like written on the last page or something. He doesn't even know what's going on, and she's like, okay, your poetry sucks, and he's like, no, really, let me prove it to you, and then the fucking thing all happens.
But the idea that she like not only somehow like entertains the idea, continues with it, falls madly in love with him, becomes even crazier than he does.
One-ups him, yeah.
It's such a character development for a 1.5 hour movie that it's so outlandish. This movie escalates so quickly. You took a season of a show, a run of a comic book, and just like just shit it onto a page and just put it out, and it was a train wreck.
Sure.
It made me angry.
Did you like her like heel turn? Get me my fucking book.
I guess I didn't understand what her end game was because
She wants to be Kira.
once you're in the fucking thing, you're a suspect of murder, and like, what do you think is gonna happen?
I don't know.
You wrote my name? Well, you wrote my name.
Okay. There's two directions we could go in there. I'll take the quicker one. So after she says, "I'm a bad guy. Get me my fucking book, or else you're gonna die." He still is like, I didn't think you'd do it though. Oh my god, we're like a comedy again. What?
Yeah.
It's still like that reaction where I'm like, wait a minute, what? Also, you have no reason to think that that like anything that you write in the book is like conditional. So you wrote that she takes the thing and falls and dies. You wrote this whole fucking thing. So why would you ever think
Yeah.
that wouldn't happen? Everything you write finds a way to happen. That's the point of the fucking Death Note. So why are you like, I didn't think you'd really take the book. What, and like kick it off? She has to take it. You wrote that she takes it. Ah! That bothered me. That whole
Yeah.
sequence bothered me like so much as someone who loved like the anime again and like
It's almost so dumb it's hard to follow.
I didn't even love the anime. I loved the idea of this note and how it like all played out. That was even more the thing. Where the anime has a bunch of like anime tropes and bullshit in it, right? But yeah, no, very confusing.
They made the Death God guy look pretty good in this by comparison to how he looked in the last live action. He was much more cartoony and like floating CGI.
Ooh.
Do you remember how shitty he looked?
I don't remember how shitty he looked because I like blocked it out, I think. Okay, good.
This was a lot better than that.
I
It
thought-
still could have been better, but
I thought he looked good. Like something about his face and again, like I don't know if it's just not how I pictured it, but something about the face, like his like presence and like the spikes and like
Yeah, the
when
body was good.
when he's like out of focus and you just see like the glowing eyes, that was like the fucking awesome. But something about the
The
close-ups,
face wasn't sucked in
the
enough.
way it was doing
like
it.
didn't have that. It wasn't like long enough. I guess would be like the.
something was off to me.
Yeah, it didn't strike me as the same as in the cartoon, but you know,
It doesn't have to be the same.
I just
I
you
want
know,
to emphasize that a million
I
times.
don't need things to be identical, but it can't be worse. So like
That's what I
you
mean.
can do whatever you want to do as long as it's better. But if
Yeah.
I don't think it's better, it's worse.
I
That's
will-
how that works.
I will take it a little further and say it can be just as good, but not the same. But
Sure.
like, don't it can't be worse. That's all we ask. Is don't make it worse.
No, and too much of this was worse.
Let's talk about Ryuk a little bit then, right?
Sure.
So, well, and this dovetails into something else. So, like, when he gets the book, it already has shit written in it.
Yeah, I
So,
don't
like,
remember that happening.
I don't think that happens in the anime, because if it did, I'd be like, well, then why are you, like, testing it? Just go Google the fucking other names and, like, wait, what? It'd be this whole
But
fucking
then somebody
thing.
wrote in it like, don't trust Ryuk or
I
whatever.
know.
And I was like, can you do that? Like,
So, okay.
and then they said the farthest anyone's ever got to writing my name is 2 letters, and I killed them. But that person wrote his whole name,
So-
his name is in the book.
it's in there, like, 3 times or
So
something.
shouldn't he be dead?
So I literally said out loud, except that fucking cake is a lie bullshit where someone wrote in the book about you. What do you mean? Farthest anyone's ever gotten was 2. Except for the time they got all the way through and kept writing a spoiler for the next owner about how you're really a bad guy and manipulative, even though that never comes out at all in the fucking movie I'm about to watch.
Yeah.
I was so upset. I was literally so upset. Because at first, like I thought, oh, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna make it like maybe this, this character is not even really Light, or maybe you're just gonna use Light as like this quick like intro for this movie, and it's gonna end with like the Death Note getting passed along, or like, and then that will kick off like the thing. Maybe you're doing this brilliant thing where like, hey, hey fans of Death Note, everything you know and love is already in the rearview mirror because we've flipped it, and now we're just going to turn this into this whole thing. Everyone's going to die, and it's really going to be like Ryuk cackling, and then we go to this thing, right? Because you've put in. Do you get the cake is a lie reference, the
Yeah.
Portal thing, right? So I don't know if you ever played Portal, but the
I
fucking the what?
I saw videos.
Okay, good. That's really all you have to do. But yeah, there's this fucking thing right up front where I'm like, oh wait, are they framing it up to be this other thing? Because at the end of Death Note, spoilers, no spoilers, or like whatever. What's so awesome is that Ryuk's just like, hey man, this is how it goes, right? I knew this wasn't gonna last forever. I don't know why you thought it would. Like, there's a whole fucking thing there where you're like, oh shit, where he's just like, well, I live basically forever. This is kind of my gig. I was just kind of bored, kind of like you, having fun.
Yeah.
Hey, change the world. I guess everything comes to an end. This whole fucking thing. And he's not this really, like, actual... But I thought, here, don't trust him. He's not your pet. He's not your friend. Like, don't get it twisted, motherfucker. He's... blah, or whatever. And then, when they do the misdirect where, like, Ryuk somehow killed the FBI agents, where I was like, wait, that can't be. If he can just do that, what the fuck? But then it turns out that it was Mia, which was like, okay, that's better. Whatever
Yeah.
the fuck. But I thought they were
That
going
did
in, like,
blow me.
one direction.
I was like, wait a minute, what? I'm like, does he care? Because
Wait, do you care?
well,
Yeah,
because it was
I
like,
know.
does he not want to get the book discovered because more people won't die? I'm like, wouldn't the book just automatically go to someone else? Why would he kill those people? I don't understand this. And then, we find out.
Which was a weird thing, because I feel like you even could have missed that whole back and forth if you were just casually, like, watching this
Sure.
and not paying, like, the kind of attention or whatever.
You could miss most of this movie because it happened so quick if you're just like, eating chips.
Okay, good. Yeah, so we're
But
not...
were you eating chips?
I play a little Hearthstone.
Oh, Christ.
I missed entire chapters of it.
Nah,
Is that everything with Rook? Okay,
that's
so
pretty much all of it. He eats his apples. That's the same old, same old.
so many apples though. And if he can eat apples, like, what are other people seeing? Just like apples disappearing?
I wanted to know what did people see after he destroyed that classroom in their first encounter.
Let
That
me-
lady was gone for a minute, and then she would have came back.
Okay. I started taking notes for. Okay. I think did I already say this? The first 10 or like 15 minutes of this movie are like legitimately good. There's like music montage things that I love. It like looks beautiful.
Up till when?
I will tell you when. There's fucking like the movie looks really good. The lighting is really good. The scenes, the stylized
Yeah,
stuff.
till
The-
like the decapitation in the beginning, it was decent.
Well, you didn't like the decapitation?
No, till that point,
Okay.
it was good.
No, that's about the point. But the point is, I started fervently taking notes because I was like, oh shit. Because like in the beginning, there's no sound, but there's some like song playing, and and you see Light doing someone else's homework, and you see who I must assume is Misa, who's Mia, just like, blowing butts, being like, I'm a fucking Fairuza Balk, I just do cheerleading, I guess, fucking all. I'm like, okay, this is like My Chemical Romance twist. This might be okay. This might be okay. So I started taking notes, and I wrote bored Light, good. Dutch angles, Mia, not Misa. Apple, detention. Note already has names in it. Ryuk, wind, screaming. Is this a comedy? Apple core. Willem Dafoe? Bully. I don't have a pen. Ladder. Actually, Rook looks like shit. Does he have to clean up this room? In all caps. And that's like the first 7.5 minutes or whatever.
That's what I would have thought led
arc.
to him having 1,000 detentions and be like, a talking to and some whatever.
Something.
But then nothing. That's the exact thing I hate in shows where, like, it would be like me and you were characters, and I'd be like, I know you killed her, and we're going to figure out how. And then we'll go to commercial and come back, and we'd be like doing homework. And I'd be like, what the fuck?
Right, yeah, where it's like, wait, did they talk about that for the entire boat ride? Why is he just asking about his father now? What's going on? No, I know. Like, this kind of saved it in a way because we go, well, where do we go then? We talk to the dad. We go to Exposition City with the dad, which, like, I can forgive that too, right? I can be like, he's like, you've been like this ever since Mom. And, like, they fucking have to, like, set up the fucking history of the characters.
Yeah.
That's fine. Could have been better, whatever, right? But then, yeah, then we just go to montage land. He's like, wait, I have this book. You're hot. Let's hang out. And then we go into montage land. We're by the half an hour mark, I think, 29 minutes. I may have written that down. It's like a montage where, like, the cops are like, hey, look around. The world's a better place. And we're already in, like, the world's a better place territory. At 29 minutes
That's what I'm saying. Things are just zipping along.
We're fucking catapulted, which made me assume that, like, this was all just going to be, like, whizzing by because we have to concentrate on, like, whatever. And it turned out we had to concentrate on this sort of, like, love story almost, this tragic Romeo and Juliet, only it's because they're from different sides
if they were going to do this,
the Death Note.
It should have been,
something.
and especially doing it in multiple movies, this movie should have ended with, like, them first really doing some major killings and the world starting to notice that that Kira was like maybe the first spray paint on the wall, like Kira is God or whatever, whatever.
Right.
And then it could have picked up with Light and being hunted by L in the next movie, maybe. Like, this should have been all the exposition about the character, the rules, learning about it, doing stuff. It's Netflix. You could have done this. But I'm saying, you have a modeled character already. Yeah. That's now essentially free for you. You have it skeleton rigged and ready to go. You could have done all this inside the school and the bedroom pretty much, the whole first movie, and it would have been good.
Right.
Like, bullies dying, things happening, testing stuff out.
Like, make it like Spider-Man, only, like, super dark and emo, right? Those jokes write themselves. And, like, imagine if this ended with him thinking that he almost got caught. Maybe he has to do something. His father's involved. Something has to happen. And, like, he, like, gets away or something, right? He's in, like, the backseat of a squad car, but the charges are going to be dropped, whatever. And he looks out the window and he sees that Kira spray paint, whatever the fuck, right? But it, like, ends with, like, a voice of, like, L being like, Kira, I know you're in, like, Seattle. I set a trap that was just like a local broadcast or whatever.
I was actually just going to say that.
And then it's him like, like with the Death Note looking at that guy's face being like, what? I have to find out who he is. And then it's like, da-na-na, and then like Ryuk like, I'm rooting for that guy. Fucking shit ends there. And then you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
That would have been fabulous.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
Just
Netflix.
wrote a better movie.
Just
Perfect.
act like this didn't happen and make that movie.
Do you think they can go anywhere from here? I haven't heard of like official reviews or whatever.
Well, the next movie would be like the pop star and her Shingami or whatever.
Okay, so we have to introduce. The anime benefits so much just from like knowing that the audience will accept anything. I feel like here the music video style was meant to just like draw you into like, hey, it's the world. Only we have Ryuk. But no, there's like multiple death gods. There's a whole death god world. They have like arguments about what Ryuk's doing is like okay or whatever, right? And there's a whole thing where like they only keep living like quote unquote forever because they get the years that you had left if they didn't write your name in the book. So like the book's like collecting years for like Ryuk basically or whatever.
Wait, they get the years of people who they didn't write in the book?
No, of like if you were gonna live to be like 72,
and I wrote your name in the book,
now,
I get all the leftovers.
I get your 40-something whatever years onto my life, and like as a god of death, Ryuk can like see 7,000 for you, 10 for you, wow, and he can like see what's going on or whatever, and that's what he's doing. But like the basic theme, I think, if I remember it correctly, is that Ryuk's kind of bored with all that, and it kind of starts with whoever owned that Death Note being like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just gonna let myself, like run out of time and die. And then there's like a free book, and Rick's like, I have an idea, and then just puts it on Earth, and Light gets it or whatever. But there's themes, there's stuff to explore. It's very good. I don't know what themes we were exploring in this movie necessarily. Oh,
Nah.
but I knew that we were fucked when he said your fingers are huge. I wrote that down. I like paused it and wrote down.
Now,
like,
why
we're
was
fucked.
that the moment you knew?
Because that was like the second or third like attempt at like humor. Because like, okay, when he's like screaming, when there's all like the wind, because Ryuk makes wind or something. There was a whole like he's like screaming. and
He's from Egypt. He has Egypt powers.
he's got to have sand powers, kids. No, like I don't know why, and like why were the desks moving? Is Ryuk invisible though to him? Like, did he drop the book? Is that I don't know. I didn't catch the whole thing because
Well, can he become invisible at his own whim? I thought that was
Light?
a thing. I thought that was a
I don't
thing.
know if he can to Light.
I thought I remember there being a thing where like invisible apples being eaten and then just like thrown away,
Oh, I don't know, but I know.
or invisible bites being taken out of an apple.
But I know that like the screaming was funny, and it was like supposed to be. So I was like, okay, this is like a different tone, and I can live with that. That's fine. And like I thought, like, all right, so maybe they'll be like, and like when they go to prom and they do like the funny pictures really quick.
Sure.
There's these little very isolated moments of his like attempts at humor, but they're basically like just yanking on like the big comical like train brake lever
Yeah.
at times, right? Because this was very much not a light like thing. There's fucking murder, and I'm unhinged, and you can't kill my dad. It was very much whatever. But then, like, out of nowhere, he's just like, your fingers are huge, or something like that. In a way of, like, oh, it's like little monsters, and you're Howie Mandeling, and you're like, oh, what's going on?
gross.
But it didn't have that, I don't know, right? It felt so inconsistent. And not just like, Death Note's not supposed to be. It was just like, no,
No.
but like, earlier in this, like the way the bully dies is so graphic. That I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is
You're
rated
giving me what I
R.
want.
This is
Okay.
like, this is fucking serious, guys. And then it's like not serious, but not in like a fun, not serious. I don't know how to explain this properly.
Bad. You could say bad.
I don't just like being a broken record saying that everything's bad.
And not everything is bad, but things that like are like in this. Well, I'll say is good. The visuals on this end, like it was good. The movie had money. You could tell that it could have been
looked
good.
very good.
It was the
That's
fact
why I
that
was
they
like,
rushed
oh.
it and scripted it like shit that made it bad.
Yeah, I don't think that, and I'm really interested in someone who like doesn't know anything about Death Note and watches this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a minute here. John dies at the end.
Okay.
It's a book, but mostly I read it as like an online thing. It was Dave Wong from Cracked. You know all this. I'm telling them, right? So like, it fucking blew my mind. We mentioned it earlier in this video, I think. It was fucking awesome. They made a movie of it, and it made me question if the original written material was even good, because the movie managed to be horrible, and also include almost like 9 out of 10 of the coolest parts of like the written stuff, right?
I disagree. I think they cut out almost all the good stuff in the movie because you could not. A lot of things that work in a book or a cartoon, you don't have the money to put them onto a thing. But that's not true with what happened in this one, because the most expensive thing here, was something that is like done and easy, and that's just having a big CG monster.
Okay.
The easiest part is just writing in a book, and they didn't do that appropriately.
Spoilers for John dies at the end and Death Note. What I mean is that, like, in that live-action movie thing, right, they have him time-traveling to, like, fuck up the bullet factory, right? And they have him, like, her hand, can be seen through, like, the things. And they have, like, the guys going to the porta potties and, like, disappear. And they have, like, the big reveal at the end. Like, they have all these cool things happen, where if you were like, hey, list some cool things that happen in John Dies at the end, right, I would have, like, said a lot of those things. And then it kind of blows it now. So if you go read John Dies at the end now, you're not going to have that mind-blowing moment of like certain things, because you would have seen it in that horrible movie, and you'd be like, well, yeah, that's just that or whatever, right? But reading it originally in like a good presentation makes you go like, oh shit, this is so good or whatever the fuck, right? I'm getting like a vibe of that here, where I feel like if you watched this first and then started to watch the other stuff, things would have less of an impact in like a bad way once you, because it would feel like just different flavors of this thing that you've already been exposed to.
It's almost no different than if I was like, hey, I'm going to play any movie for you. I'm going to take a half an hour out of it randomly.
Sure.
Chopping 2 minutes
Just
here,
throughout
3
the
minutes
thing.
there. You're going to watch that. And then if I had you watch the real movie, you'd be like, oh, that part makes a little more sense now, but you'd still have it ruined for you.
But you wouldn't have that.
It's the same thing.
And it's not just like the very first time, and it's not just that it like relies on like surprise. It's that the cat's sort of out of the bag, and you kind of like know, oh,
Yeah.
you can make them write their own name, or like, oh, it's this the like.
Or someone just tells you, like, oh, did you ever see this? No, what's that? And they give you like the thing. But it's really cool because his brother's like a DEA agent, and that gets him out of the bottle. Oh, cool. And then when you watch it, you're waiting for that.
Or it's like he's been dead the whole time.
Yeah.
For the fuck. I know. But it's like it's somehow more than just having like the ending or whatever spoiled for you, right? It's like I hate that. I hate Aeon Flux movie shows you the girl with the hands on her feet, so that if you ever actually get around to watching the original, you'll be like, oh, it's hands on her feet, girl. You won't be like, holy shit, that's awesome. You'll be like, oh, it's that, and you'll be like, eh. It like cuts me or whatever. But at the same time,
they consider it fan service, but really it's fuckery.
That's what it is. It's, hey, Bub, did you just call me Blob? And you're like, oh, my God, you just had Bub and Blob in the worst Wolverine movie I've ever seen in my life. Oh, the anger swells up inside of me. We've talked about most of this movie.
I was going to say, you got any buttons for this video?
I don't have any buttons. Let's talk about the ending, I guess. Let's just round it out.
It ends almost comically, where they've both written each other's names in the book.
That part, yeah.
The Ferris wheel starts to come down.
Yeah.
It's fucking real, just this slapping it apart. I would love to also see the explanation at the, because someone eventually has to come down from, like, the government or whatever and be like, all right, we have to investigate where the point of failure were. Looks like a Godzilla creature, like, smashed the fuck out of it. Why did this thing collapse?
Oh, did Ryuk hit it? I thought that he just wrote like the thing collapses. And then
no, there's like him in the foreground, like he's like over here in a perspective shot.
I saw him like,
and he's just slashing it away, and as he's hitting, it's like collapsing.
Oh, I thought he was like doing that with his brain though, and there'd be no like claw marks.
No, he was doing it.
Okay.
It was like using the force is how I took it. So like as he swings, it like crashes like it's hundreds of feet away from him.
No, yeah, I just read that as like he's exploiting the minimal differences in probability to cause bolts to fail, whatever the fuck it is. It's like Final Destination.
It tears
logic.
like in half.
Oh no, it gets fucked totally.
Like it's an unexplainable, turn of events.
Yeah, and a lot of this like, oh god, we left out so many things. Okay.
It's also real quick though, just while we're talking about stupid shit. We're at a crowded fair type pier.
Yeah.
There's a huge fucking Ferris wheel that seats 40 people at least, and that's assuming it's like one person per car. So they just rush over to it at any given moment and get on and say, "Take it up," and then shoots it. At any given time, there should be more people on the fucking Ferris wheel. There should be a line of people. Granted, he has a gun, which is a ticket jump, but it would not take people off the ride.
A gun is the like Disneyland
Fast Pass.
Fast Pass. I was like, it can't be called Fast Pass. It has to be called like Mouse Pass. They unfortunately they do kind of explain this because he's saying, "Oh no, we're closed. Like the ride's over," and he's like, "I have a gun. Send us up or whatever."
Didn't like it.
I agree.
The amount of perfect timing it would have had to
No.
arrive.
The timing, is still totally
because there
fucked.
are no people like leaving it, so that means he just stands there while it's closed for fun.
I know. No, the timing's
it.
totally fucked because the whole thing relies on these external. Wait, is that the same? Now I'm even. Where's the chase with Light and L?
Before that,
that's how he gets there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, because I was going to say, well, why couldn't have been that because she meets him there, and how could that have
happened? He said, "I'll
happened?
meet you at the Ferris wheel,"
and then
gets chased to the Ferris wheel,
and then Light
taking as long as humanly possible, only being saved because Light makes the mistake of saying, "This is Kira, I've caught him," and that guy's like, "I like Kira, King."
Lord Kira, which was crazy. No, that chase, I've never been so torn about something ever because I thought the music during the chase was really dope. And it kind of like looked good and was like filmed kind of good in like spots. But it was totally crazy. Because L is like in a car chase with no one. He's like breaking into shit for no reason. In the beginning, it's like, like you don't drive, so that's why you would like hit the car and couldn't get out of the space, right? Because you just get driven by watery everywhere. That makes fucking sense.
That's
But then he's just screaming and hitting phone booths and like going, oh, and just driving around. I'm like, what is happening? And how does he even find Light? That's crazy.
Is it any crazier than like what was he was he gonna arrest him? He has no proof.
He was gonna hit him with a car.
He was gonna kill him, right?
He
if
had
he was
a
gonna
gun.
kill him when you're chasing somebody, why not shoot them?
Well, he wanted to shoot him, yeah, but he started yelling.
He was like 10 feet behind him for a long time.
That was crazy.
As far as I know, and I'm not an expert,
Yep.
I think bullets can travel 10 feet.
Oh.
I don't know what
from a
kind of gun
moving
that
car,
was.
Though?
It was like a red gun.
What
with
gun
like,
was that? It was like a
glowing
crazy,
powers
it was
or
like a
something.
ray gun or something.
I don't know. This movie's dumb.
And why would he wouldn't have a gun? I don't think he says he doesn't carry guns.
He took it out of his locker. Or whatever it was.
I know he didn't have it on him just anyway, like he was lying. But it was just this crazy thing. That whole chase was so crazy with the music during it. I want to look up that track. I thought it was really cool.
Don't find redeeming moments in this.
There are some redeeming. I think visually it was really good, which is like really sad.
Visuals are the least important part.
I like visuals.
They're one half of a movie, but
Well.
if you don't have a movie, you only have visuals, and then you have a music video, and you shouldn't call it Death Note.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the most important thing is like the story and all that stuff or whatever, right? But and like bad visuals would not ruin a good story for me. But when I have good visuals with like a bad thing, it hurts me because what if it could have been the best thing ever, and just wasn't.
No.
But no, the fact that he was chased there and left unexpectedly and wrote the whole thing just then off the top of his head, and then it all worked out anyway. Like, how did the doctor to resuscitate him even get to the Ferris wheel in time? How would he know where he would be, right?
How do you know he was even in the country?
Did he write that days earlier? No, he was looking them up on the computer in the computer lab at the school.
Yeah.
So that was all
Or how
just
do you-
off the cuff.
You find the book. What if it just sank?
I know.
There's too many fucking what ifs
So
here.
he
It
had-
wasn't cold and calculated. It was dumb and lucky.
He had to be able to write that the book would like wash up on the shore.
The same way he wrote that paper
that would
floats
fall
into
into the
fire.
And there's no way for that to make any sense
No,
ever.
it's so dumb. I hate it.
That's really upsetting.
It's very upsetting.
I didn't think about it in those terms, but yeah, he can't write for things to happen. He can just write. He can like control the people right before they die, for a long time though, but right before they die, and then say how they're gonna die. He can't actually make things fall in certain places. That's very upsetting.
Now, fuck this movie.
I don't hate it as much as you. I don't like it.
It's only if this was not made by a studio that relatively produces only good things. Like
What? Oh, Netflix
Yeah.
itself? Okay, yeah.
like I don't
didn't know if you
understand
knew the,
why
production
didn't you
company.
make this into a TV show? Why wasn't this your next Netflix original show?
I
And then you
know.
could have made it actually good. It could have lasted. It could have been nice. But now you've like fucked an idea for 10 more years.
However long
'Cause
it
how
takes to
long do you
reboot
have
again.
reboots? Exactly.
Do you think they can save it by just making another thing?
They might be able to make
With
one
all new
more
characters.
because even though this was bad, it probably got watched enough
Hmm.
because people were like, "What's that?" Like we were, excited at the idea
Well,
of something.
But when that happens, the whole team says, "We want more of that," and they make another.
I know
one of
that's
the
what I'm
same thing.
saying. They might be able to make another one, but who
One
knows if it's gonna
more.
be good.
So how this actually is like after all that we get the reveal of the whole convoluted like plan because he tells his dad basically
Yeah.
like what happened. And his dad thinks that he knows that he is in fact Kira because of the newspaper clipping, which somehow proves that he would have killed that guy even though him having the clipping at that time didn't help him kill him at all. He just looked at it and thought, I want to kill this guy that I already knew all about, right? Is that
Yeah.
right? Am I like missing
Well,
something with that?
I think just finding the clipping of a guy, and he knows he died,
All right.
and then after his son being accused of this thing, goes,
just
you know
sets
what?
it up as a
This
thing?
was the blah blah. And nothing's proof. The thing's not. It's not written well, and that's the
Oh.
downfall of this whole thing. So we can't try to find good logic in bad writing.
I guess. I just don't want to shit on it too much.
I don't think we're shitting on it
Newspaper
enough.
clipping. But he tells his dad, he says, do you really want to know? And then he
Yeah.
explains the whole fucking thing, which is a chance for the audience. So that's what I mean by this kind of blows the coolness. Because that kind of shit does happen in the other material where you've set up a complex plan and you've used some of these doomed puppets to set things up. I was really hoping for there to be something where because his name was in the book to die at midnight, he couldn't die earlier. But it turned out he just wrote that he falls in the water or whatever. That's really going to bother me for days
Yeah,
now.
that's what I thought was going to
I know.
happen.
That's
And
why I
I
was like,
wasn't
oh,
even
cool.
convinced the girl was going to be dead
Yeah.
because I was like, all right, well, what way did you write? Did you write a certain thing? Is she still alive? But no.
And for him not to expect her to die after writing that she dies is really weird and indicates because how much time should have passed? I don't feel like that would have ever happened before then. I feel like he writes death and the death happens. So I was like, why'd you take the book? Now you're going to die. And it's like, you wrote that she takes the book and dies, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Weird.
or I didn't zoom in and read it. I don't even know if you can do this. Can you write a clause if this happens, then this
So,
happens?
I
Because
don't
they made up a
think
lot of rules on the
so.
fly, it seems, and broke other rules that I thought were like consistent. So I don't know.
Well, and like, okay, real quick then. So like,
Because I took it as
yeah.
he wrote, "If you take the book, you die."
I don't think that that the concept of if has ever been introduced into Death
And it
Note.
shouldn't.
It doesn't really make as much sense, or it makes sense, but I don't really like it, I guess. I'm fine with something being different, but they didn't really establish that, right? If you wanted to establish that, you could have had some dirtbag criminal have to make a choice to, like, follow his dirtbag nature or, like,
Well,
redeem
if
himself.
you can write ifs,
Yeah.
you could go to that website where they say all these people are fucking horrible people
Yeah.
and write, all right, well, if John Yosemite does touch a child, he kills
He
himself.
died. He killed himself
If this
24 hours
person
later.
does, like,
Yeah.
do unnecessary dental surgery to people, they die. If this person, this, like, do
Yep.
all that shit, and you could cover your bases 100% and make sure you're never killing a guilty person.
Exactly.
If this person actually killed that person, they die.
And even if it can't go back like that, you could just say going
Sure.
forward if the yeah. No, I know. So that's another horrible thing, and I feel like if you'd thought that through, that would make sense.
It's the cheapest thing to do. Reread a script for if it makes sense.
That's really upsetting.
It is
So
upsetting.
I didn't hate this as much as you. I thought I might hit it more. What did your girlfriend think? Because
She hated it.
she's a much bigger anime fan, I think, even than I am.
Hated it.
She's the king of anime.
When I was like, did that feel compressed to you? She's like, it didn't make any sense. It jumped so fast.
Yeah.
A lot of these things take time to build, and it didn't do any of that.
Yeah, I really think it's really weird that Netflix makes so many series about seemingly nothing, and this that has like such density of like material. Because certain anime, right, there's like a talking pig man or like a penguin or some shit.
Yeah,
like,
this is
it's
a cheap one. This is easy.
Well, no, but I mean like that too. But what I meant was like a lot of anime has a lot of filler and bullshit nonsense, and then like a couple times per season something happens. Death Note is like. I think it's like 13 episodes per season. I want to say the whole thing is like less than 40 episodes for all 3 seasons.
Sure.
But it's extremely dense. Oh, it's fucking so dense. So like,
But there were appropriate parts you
even
could have
just
cut out if you
knowing-
wanted to cut things out.
I
But
know.
you still couldn't really. It's very
But, like-
hard to do it in a movie.
but like the attempt, right? Like the Dragon Ball Z movie to me, right? Like whoever made that just read the Wikipedia page of Dragon Ball Z and like made the movie, and the movie is like considered one of the most horrible movies ever. But like the movie has a beginning, a middle, and like an end, and it does stupid fan service stuff. But they've picked a villain, they've picked a hero, they've picked an arc, and they've executed this thing. Here, I don't even know what happened in that regard. I don't even know what the goal was, or based on the source material, how this was the thing.
And if this is indeed an origin story, worst origin story
of
ever,
who?
because couldn't tell you.
Of Light?
It
Why?
has to be because he ended with the book still.
His dad knows. He says, and then in front of his dad, he says what to Ryuk, who says, "You humans are so interesting," or whatever. So what does
Well,
that?
I took that thing as in this whole thing is unfolding to be very interesting because now L just wrote something on that paper, and I think what he wrote and what the next one would start off with is Light, your dad's now dead.
You think so? That's the only way that. Okay.
I would take it
You
as
didn't
the
mention
movie
that.
opens up right from where that left off, and his dad has a heart attack and dies, and he doesn't know. Did the news I just give him kill him? And then like later on that, and like L goes, "You took away my father figure, and now I took away yours."
That's great. I
Yeah,
love
I'm pretty
that.
good. That
You-
probably won't be
Do you
it.
think they'll do that?
I don't know.
Well, because that. So my issue was going to be whether or not his dad believes it or understands it or fully whatever.
He believes it. He comprehends it. He has to die.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, he would have to die or be taken out of the picture because otherwise he'd be like, well, I have to arrest you for, like, supernatural murders, I guess. This is awkward for me, but even though you're my son, I have to do... Because the whole thing with him is I have to do the right thing. I have to make sure that society is whatever the fuck. Yeah.
But I don't even know where it would go from there because you'd end the situation because you could write really small. So
I
it's
would
as,
say,
it's as
yeah.
if L would have the full book too.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. Like he'd want to be making Light suffer, and he'd
Yeah.
probably be killing people around him, making people do things, or making it appear like he's a murderer. So like killing other people, but like leaving evidence that Light did the job, and like slowly trying to get him
Yeah.
to spend the rest of his life in prison.
I think that that's the only way that
Yeah.
this has a chance is if you make L into this crazy... Because, like, there's times here, and again, the anime is like complicated and deep or whatever the fuck, whatever. Like the original story is complicated and deep. So like Light's not like a good guy, and L's not like a good guy or bad guy or whatever. But here in like the movie, I feel like Light was like a very good guy. He kills a bully. He kills an obviously bad guy. There's not any like ambiguity. When Mia's like, we should just kill people once we get like tips. He's like, we can't kill from hot tips, Mia. We have to be sure or whatever the fuck. He's very much like good or whatever. Whereas I think like the morally ambiguous Light would be like, well, like we have to clean up. I can't risk bad. I have to do the thing or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So if he's the good guy here, right, there needs to be like a bad guy. And I guess L could be that bad guy, and if he was like driven insane enough and has that page of the Death Note and tests it and actually kills the father, right? And then he has his crazy whatevers, he could be popping candy and doing something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, let's not speculate too much because I'm sure they'll twist in a way that's worse than we could ever imagine.
I'm excited now.
I'm interested to know what people think about this. If you have anything you want to let us know in the comments below, let us know if you think this is good, bad, indifferent, worst part, best part, etc. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.